A geopolitical earthquake has struck North America, isolating Alaska as Canada, under Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, closes its land borders to all non-essential transit. The shutdown of the Alaska Highway severs Alaska's main link to the lower 48, igniting controversy and logistical chaos. Supply chains are in jeopardy, families are stranded, and Alaska's dependence on Canadian goodwill is exposed like never before. Former President Trump has re-emerged, fanning the flames with threats and bluster, while the Biden administration faces a diplomatic minefield. The closure is more than inconvenience. It's a test of economic stability, personal freedom, and the US-Canada alliance. As trucks idle and anxiety mounts, both governments dig in, each claiming to defend national interests. The world watches as a once unbreakable partnership teeters on the brink. Alaska, a land of breathtaking beauty and rugged terrain, is separated from the rest of the United States by a vast expanse of Canadian wilderness. This geographical isolation has shaped its history and development in unique ways. The Alaska Highway, constructed during the urgency of World War II, has been a crucial lifeline ever since. It was a monumental engineering feat, cutting through the wilderness to connect Alaska with the rest of North America. This vital route facilitates commerce, military logistics, and personal travel, serving as a backbone for both Alaskan and Canadian communities. It supports the movement of goods and people, ensuring that life in Alaska can continue to thrive. Without this highway, Alaska would be akin to an island, heavily reliant on costly sea and air freight. These alternatives are often impractical for the bulk of goods needed to sustain daily life and economic activity. The closure of this route would lead to skyrocketing prices and shortages, posing a significant threat to the state's economy and the daily lives of its residents. The ripple effects would be felt in every corner of Alaskan society. For generations, the journey along the Alaska Highway has been more than just a drive. It's a rite of passage. It connects Alaskans to the broader world, fostering a sense of belonging and supporting small businesses that cater to travelers. Now, with the border unexpectedly closed, this historic link is abruptly severed. The impact is profound, leaving communities on both sides of the border grappling with uncertainty and disruption. The consequences are not merely economic, they strike at the heart of personal lives and cherished traditions. Families are separated, and a shared history is put on hold, leaving a void that is deeply felt. The emotional toll is as significant as the logistical challenges. It's a crisis that touches every aspect of life, from the personal to the communal, reminding us of the fragile connections that bind us together. Canada frames the closure as a sovereign act, citing unresolved disputes over trade, environmental policy, and resource management. Ottawa points to increased unauthorized crossings and outdated transit agreements, arguing a shutdown is needed to reassess border security. Environmental concerns, carbon emissions, wildlife disruption, and hazardous spills are also invoked, appealing to Canadian conservationists. At its core, the move is about asserting national sovereignty and demanding respect from the US. Trudeau's message is clear. Canada is not just a hallway for American interests, it's a high-stakes gamble to redefine the relationship on Canadian terms. Alaska's grocery stores are stripped bare as panic buying sets in, with supply chains cut and perishable goods running out fast. Trucking companies are paralyzed, drivers stranded, and the port of Anchorage overwhelmed as businesses scramble to reroute shipments. Shipping by sea or air is costly and slow, driving up prices for everyone. The human toll is immediate. Families stranded, military transfers halted, and tourists trapped far from home. Communities along the border, once closely knit, now feel betrayed and isolated. The closure has shattered local cross-border relationships, replacing trust with anger and resentment. For many, this is not just a policy dispute, it's a personal crisis. The ripple effects will linger long after the highways reopen. Alaska's isolation is no longer theoretical, it's a daily reality. The damage to goodwill may be lasting. Former President Trump seizes the crisis, unleashing a barrage of threats and bold statements both on social media and at high-profile press conferences. He wastes no time in making his presence felt, dominating headlines and capturing the attention of both his supporters and critics. He singles out Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, calling him weak and ineffective, and vows to impose massive tariffs on Canadian goods. Trump promises his followers that he will solve it fast if he returns to power, painting himself as the only leader tough enough to handle the situation. Trump's rhetoric is carefully crafted to rally his base, energizing crowds at rallies and online. He frames the crisis as a direct result of the Biden administration's failures, insisting that only his brand of leadership can restore order and protect American interests. He goes further, proposing a dramatic 100% tariff on Canadian cars and threatening economic collapse for Canada if the border isn't reopened immediately. These threats send shockwaves through both countries' economies, raising fears among businesses and workers on both sides of the border. His message is clear: strength, not weakness, is what America needs. Trump positions himself as the defender of American jobs and industry, promising to take decisive action where others have hesitated. This aggressive approach resonates deeply with his supporters, but it also complicates already tense diplomatic efforts. Trudeau finds himself backed into a political corner, facing mounting pressure at home to stand firm against Trump's demands. Meanwhile, President Biden's team pursues a strategy of quiet diplomacy, working behind the scenes to de-escalate the crisis. However, Trump's public threats and inflammatory language only serve to inflame tensions, making any compromise increasingly difficult. Trudeau knows he cannot be seen as caving to Trump's pressure, especially with the eyes of the Canadian public and media watching closely. The stakes are now higher than ever for both leaders, as every move is scrutinized and politicized. Trump's intervention transforms the crisis from a diplomatic dispute into a powerful political weapon. The standoff drags on, with both sides digging in, and the possibility of a quick resolution slipping away. The situation has now become as much about U.S. domestic politics as it is about international relations. Every statement, every threat, is analyzed for its impact on upcoming elections and public opinion. Trump's strategy is simple but effective: escalate the conflict, assign blame to his opponents, and exploit the crisis for maximum political gain. He thrives in chaos, using it to reinforce his image as a strong, uncompromising leader. The result is a diplomatic resolution that slips further out of reach. As the crisis deepens, uncertainty grows, and the rift between the two countries widens, leaving both sides searching for a way forward amid rising tensions and political posturing. Public opinion is sharply divided. In Alaska and the US, outrage and betrayal dominate, with social media flooded by stories of hardship and the hashtag #CanadaBetrayed trending. Politicians call for retaliation, while the Alaska governor declares a state of emergency and pleads for federal help. In Canada, many support Trudeau's hardline stance as overdue, especially in the East, seeing it as a stand for sovereignty. But in western provinces and the Yukon, anxiety grows. Businesses fear for survival, and cross-border communities feel the pain. Some Canadians see the blockade as self-defeating, harming their own interests as much as America's. The crisis exposes deep internal divisions within both countries. What was once a symbol of friendship is now a source of tension and mistrust. The social fabric on both sides is fraying. Diplomatic talks between Washington and Ottawa are tense and unproductive. The U.S. demands immediate reopening. Canada insists on major concessions, ending tariffs, renegotiating fishing rights, and stricter environmental standards. Each side accuses the other of using Alaskans as bargaining chips. The deadlock is total. The U.S. refuses to negotiate under pressure, while Canada claims years of failed diplomacy left no choice. Temporary solutions, like a humanitarian corridor for essential goods, are discussed but mired in red tape. Neither side is willing to blink first. The crisis drags on, with no end in sight. The Alaska crisis sends shockwaves worldwide, raising doubts about the stability of Western alliances. Adversaries like Russia and China seize on the dispute as evidence of U.S. weakness and Western disunity. The closure sets a dangerous precedent. Other nations may weaponize geography to settle disputes, threatening global trade norms. International bodies are slow to respond, leaving the world economy vulnerable. Arctic geopolitics are also at risk, as U.S.-Canada cooperation is vital for security and environmental management in the region. The rift weakens the West's position in the Arctic, opening the door for rivals. What began as a regional dispute now threatens global stability. The world is watching and waiting. 4 days into this tense standoff, the future remains shrouded in uncertainty. The air is thick with anticipation and anxiety as both sides weigh their options. In an ideal world, a best-case scenario would see a mediated truce, allowing for a limited reopening of the border for essential goods. However, trust between the two nations has been severely compromised, making even this modest goal seem distant. If the stalemate drags on, the U.S. might be forced into a costly airlift operation to supply Alaska, which could severely impact the state's economy. The ripple effects could trigger a trade war, sending shockwaves through global markets. President Trump's fiery rhetoric only adds fuel to the fire, making compromise increasingly difficult. This crisis has become a political flashpoint, with the upcoming election looming large over every decision. The standoff has evolved beyond a mere border dispute. It now touches on deeper issues of national identity, political power, and the fragility of long-standing alliances. For the people of Alaska, this is not just a political issue, it's a matter of survival. Access to food, medicine, and a connection to the rest of the country is at stake. Meanwhile, for Canadians, this situation is a test of their sovereignty and self-respect. The nation watches closely, aware of the implications for their own national pride. The decisions made in these tense moments will have lasting impacts, defining the future of U.S.-Canada relations for years to come. The world is witnessing how quickly even the closest friendships can unravel. As tensions rise and alliances are tested, the fate of the Alaska Highway, once a symbol of unity and cooperation, now stands as a stark reminder of a partnership in crisis. The road ahead is uncertain, and the world watches with bated breath.